that moment in time, there was nothing there that caught my attention at that moment in
But
time.
after this, when the match started, is
Yes.
when your attention was caught because your girl Paige, her music hits, she comes back, and she or not debuts, but she returns, even though she was apparently drafted to SmackDown, but I forget.
One of the biggest pops I ever gave was for the Hardys coming back at WrestleMania. This had to be number two.
Just watching it.
I knew she was coming back, but like I wasn't prepared, and then I was like, oh yeah, I screamed. I don't want to scream in the microphone, but I was kind of like jumped up and shouted for a second.
So she talks about how she's back, but she didn't come alone. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville debut. How do you? I know you probably don't know anything about these women.
Actually, I saw them at NXT live show once.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
In a tag team match.
Yes, I did.
Mandy Rose's assets are right in front of us.
Damn right. And then, but no. I know a little bit. I know Sonya Deville has that, I think, like an MMA background, right? And then Mandy Rose is from Tough Enough.
Well, they're both from Tough Enough, but
They are?
Yeah.
I didn't know Sonya Deville was from Tough
But
Enough.
Mandy Rose came in second place. Mandy Rose should have won over whatever the fuck her name was. I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I did. I think like Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose are fine for NXT right now, but I just think they're too green to be on the main roster because I feel like I have a lot of strong feelings more about the SmackDown side than the Raw side because this happened first, so we're like, oh, this is cool, this is different, and then SmackDown basically does the exact same thing. I don't know if there's going to be any sort of connection with these two, but we could talk to that a little later.
Do you want me to ask you the question of, besides those two and the SmackDown girls, who else would you brought up instead?
I mean, there's so many people that were in the women's the Mae Young Classic that you could bring up. You can bring up Kairi Sane, the Four Horsewomen girl, which I haven't even seen on NXT lately.
The Shayna?
Yeah, Shayna Baszler. I mean, all the women in the four. I mean, you could bring up the Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. You can brought them up together and put them with Paige. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have brought them up with Paige. I don't know if it'd be the
Best
a
clicking.
good fit
Yeah.
because they're kind of the divas and she's an anti-diva, I guess. That's what her old gimmick used to be. But I just Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville and then the other four or the other three, they're kind of just the middle to lower tier of the women's division in NXT, and then they're getting put up on the main roster, jumping ahead all the other women that we've seen so many times. I know Nikki Cross is with Sanity, so she's probably not going to come up until they come up.
Yeah.
Ember Moon's the champion right now. Kairi Sane probably is going to be
Feuding with
Ember and be with them.
Yeah.
And then, so they kind of just gutted the NXT women's, like the lower portion of the NXT women's
Maybe
division.
that means they're going to bring those Mae Young Classic people, competitors, into NXT. I would love to see I don't like her other name. I call her Jade because that was her TNA Impact Wrestling name. Mia
Singh or Mia Kim?
Mia Kim, I think, or
I don't know.
whatever. I really, really like her a lot. I think she's a very talented wrestler.
I mean, come on, bring in Candice, bring in Toni Storm, bring in all those ladies. But I know like at least Candice and Tony, I know they do good on the indie scene, so I don't know if they'd rather just kind of stay there and do their own thing. Because I know Candice is like the number one woman on the indie scene right now, and she's probably making that money and doing whatever the hell she wants.
Probably. I mean, I would love to see how much an NXT contract is versus a indie contract. So
it's all about that merch money,
pretty much.
But so how do you? So I haven't really gotten your thoughts on the entire group as a whole. What do you think about this makeup?
I mean, it does make a little bit of sense, being that Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose were
together in NXT.
They were they're together, but it does make sense that all three of them are together because they're kind of, I'm not gonna say they're the outcasts, but to me you can kind of assume that they were we're gonna do our own thing. We're not gonna be with the rest of the girls. We're gonna be over here. You can kind of get that vibe, but but Mandy Rose is just, I'm not trying to go downhill, but Mandy Rose is a very beautiful, gorgeous, lovely looking woman. Sonya Deville kind of has that more like
first
grungy.
openly lesbian wrestler ever in WWE history, Sonya Deville.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I guess. I'm trying to think of anyone else.
She's the first.
She's the first. But no. She kind of gives you that like rough, tough, grunt.
She's the MMA fighter, so
yeah. And then
she's
you have
badass.
Paige, who's kind of just Like I mean, she's just gonna mentor him. I mean,
Exactly. I mean,
you don't know what they're gonna
it's the
do.
first week, so we don't really know exactly what's going on.
You got to give it time.
If there's a reason why they're together,
Yeah.
if this is just
Yeah.
Paige being Paige or whatever. But they do go back from commercial. They come back. The Canadian, what's her face? Dean Ambrose, Renee Young.
Ah,
Come on, you're supposed to help me out here.
I was like Canadian. I was like, I thought you were talking about yourself.
Okay, so Renee Young tries to interview Paige, and they get a little bit of words, and then they see Alexa Bliss, they attack her. So I assume this is an Alexa Bliss face turn.
Eh,
I mean, if you get attacked by 3 people at the same time, you've practically turned face because people want to see Alexa whoop their ass. So is this setting up? Is Paige just gonna go right to the top and get that title match?
I probably, but she probably won't win, unless
Maybe.
can't assume. Can't assume.
I mean, she has 2 other people next to her. And Alexa Bliss has kind of alienated her, but she does have Nia Jax, who's not like most girls, and she could probably take on both of those girls at the same time.
Paige will dominate Nia Jax, rampage, and pin her big booty.
Okay, so Naomi was getting her makeup did backstage,
Makeup did.
and for some reason they had her filming. They filmed her talking to the makeup artist, and just by happenstance, she gets attacked by Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. Becky Lynch tries to come and save the day, but then she gets attacked. So now we have 2 black-haired, blonde-haired, brunette, badass, hot blonde, whatever groups. Basically mirror images of each other on different shows.
I don't like Ruby Riott.
Why not?
I don't like her nose.
Dominic, can we stick to being professional? Quit being all sexual.
I'm not saying this. I was saying I don't like her nose sexual. How is that sexualizing her?
You are talking about her appearance instead of just talking about her athleticism and her character. I feel Ruby Riott is probably the only person out of the 5 women that debuted, and Sarah Logan is probably next, but Ruby Riott is probably the best performer out of the 5.
I mean, that is your opinion. I would have to say Sarah Logan would be the better all-around wrestler. But I don't have to.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you for you to tell me.
Okay, Ruby Riott to me is. I've seen too many Ruby Riotts, too many Paiges, too many of these so-called, like, I'm not gonna say gothic, but too many of those type of wrestlers. Sarah Logan to me is more of a country bumpkin, kind of just, doing her thing. I like that. To me, it's more real. Ruby Riott kind of looks more. It's just a persona.
She's covered in tattoos. How is that just a persona?
Because I don't like her. So.
Okay, great analysis, Dominic.
Thank you.
So what is your thoughts on having
day.
basically the same faction of the goth girl, the hot blonde, and the badass brunette on both shows?
I mean, they could have done something else for SmackDown. Not totally rip off Raw, but I mean,
like, I hope this is going somewhere to where
it's not.
Either they link up or like they had some sort of communications or like something, but then it doesn't make sense for why Stephanie would do it on Raw and then Dana Bryan would do it on SmackDown, and it's just
there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just they needed to bring up more talent, and maybe they're gonna send Lana back down. Maybe they're gonna send a couple divas back down to NXT.
the women, Dominic. Not divas.
Sorry, superstars back to NXT. You never know.
So, and another thing is, like, Liv Morgan is basically the exact character as Carmella, which makes no sense. I don't know.
Moonwalk off.
I mean, I don't know if there is, like, is there a reason why Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville are together and the other 3 are together? Because if not, you can put Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan with Paige and then have Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville on SmackDown and kind of have at least that sort, like, Liv and Carmella are legit, like, the same thing.
I mean, it's one of those things. Once again, just like we said on Raw, you have to give it time. You don't know why they haven't said anything yet. You have to wait and give it time.
Well, I want answers now, Dominic.
Well, if I had the answers, my friend, I would give them to you. I'd give you any answer you wanted, but I have no answers. I can't even answer simple questions.